What up? K-Rugs, the sober dog, coming at you, yeah! Today, heroin versus oxy. What is the difference? You always hear people talk about them. Oxy's hillbilly heroin, oxy's rich man heroin, oxy synthetic heroin, heroin's the same as oxy. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Whatever. What are the similarities and what are the differences? So today, we're going to get into that. Before I get started, as always, Sober Dogs does not promote or condone any drug use. Please seek professional medical help if you have an addiction. Recovery is possible. All this videos and content are just for informative and educational purposes only. Hey, if you like Sober Dog stuff, hit that subscribe. Help me out, get more content out there. Hopefully YouTube will pump up the videos more. So I'd really appreciate it. Got my new Rode wireless microphone to block out the wind so I can do more videos outside and get better sound. And the reason I was able to afford that, thank you to the patrons who support Sober Dogs on Patreon. Thank you, the Snyder family, Jenna, Laura, Mark, Yana. You're awesome. You do so many, help so many people. Ava, Jane, thank you. Rug Bro Holdings, Preem Jam Holdings. Thank you, everyone supporting me on Patreon. And if you want to help support Sober Dogs on Patreon, I'll put the link right up. So let's get right into it. Difference between heroin and oxy. When using them, the biggest difference I noticed right off the bat is a burst of energy with oxy. I don't know what it is. I don't know specifically why it happens. It sounds like someone's dying in the background. Just a bunch of kids playing. Anyway, with oxy, you get this burst of energy. I don't know exactly why. A ton of people have told me this. I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it hundreds of times myself. When you do oxy, no matter how you do it, if you swallow it, if you snort it, if you smoke it, if you inject it, if you swallow it, maybe 20 minutes after you swallow it. If you snort it, maybe 8 to 10 minutes. If you smoke it, maybe 3 minutes. And if you inject it, maybe a minute into it. You get this burst of energy. It's like any task you might have had to do beforehand, like you walk in and your room's a disaster, your house is dirty. Like, I don't want to clean this shit. You do your oxy, all of a sudden, you're excited about cleaning it. You want to do it. You're like anal about it. I would do it when I was in my car doing it. I would do this and I would clean, the whole back seat of the car. Or I would, scrub this area or scrub that. As far as to, the specific reasoning as to why this happens, I don't know. I don't have an exact answer to that. It could be how it's created and, maybe the fillers. Maybe it's more of a pure synthetic version. Maybe it hits part of the receptors in the brain different. I don't know exactly, but I know a lot of people get it. Then maybe an hour into it, the downer period starts to happen. More the nod out, more the relax, the itching, things like that. With heroin, you get that come down period right away. You're going to get it, a minute into it, 2 minutes into it with heroin. You're going to get that come down period. You're right off the bat feeling low. Now, with either of them, if you're in withdrawal, you're going to get that burst of energy with either of them to an extent because you're feeling like crap with all these flu symptoms. You do your opioid and immediately you're going to feel better. So you're going to be more energetic. But with the oxy, it's just, I don't know, it's different. It's just this hour to 2 hour like anal cleaning period almost. The next difference, the biggest difference is the consistency. The same Oxy I bought, the same Oxy 80 I bought in 2003 in Rochester. Hear the Po-Niner in the background. They're coming to get somebody. But it's a good part about being sober. I ain't got to worry about it anymore. The same Oxy I got in 2003 in Rochester versus 2011 in Baltimore versus 2009 in Pennsylvania are all the same thing. I knew exactly how they were going to make me feel. I knew one was going to get me, feeling good, not super high. 2 was going to get me pretty damn high. And 3 was going to get me nodding like, ugh. They're the same. Because from start to finish, it's a government, regulations, pharmaceutical companies, some, pill factory that is making the exact same thing every single time, coming out with the, hundreds of millions of the exact same pills with the same fillers and same medicine and everything. Versus heroin, you getting it, from start to finish, it's underground organizations, terrorist organization, cartels, farmers, people mixing it, cutting it, so you could get totally different stuff. You can go to the same guy an hour apart and get stuff that's worlds different. 3 o'clock you go, you get 5 bags, you do them all, you got a little buzz. 4 o'clock you go, you get 1 and you are OD'd out. So that's the biggest thing, is the consistency as far as actually getting them. The next one difference is the stigma. There's always this stigma with heroin, and I know it and I lived it. In high school, I didn't know anybody who ever tried heroin. Not at all. I knew a bunch of people who did painkillers and oxy, and they were kind of like on the outskirts, but like it was accepted. At a party, if someone had painkillers and some people took them, it was, somebody got them from the medicine cabinet or somebody's parents. Why? Because it comes from a doctor, because it's made by the government. It's supposed to be safe and, I don't want to say it's supposed to be safe, but it's coming from a trusted source. It's versus heroin. If somebody pulled out a bag of heroin, everyone would be like, whoa, what is that? That's a dirty, evil drug and this and that. When, unfortunately, oxy and heroin are pretty much the same. They hit the same receptors. They do the same thing. But even with that, a kind of funny story, a buddy of mine called me one day and said, hey, I got to go re-up. You want to come with me? He was a smaller guy, and he sold oxy. So I'm assuming he asked me to go for maybe muscle. I don't know. Not that I'm some mean, bad guy, but even if, somebody sees 2 people in the car, they're less likely to try to, rob him than if it's just him by himself. So I go with them, and I'm expecting we're going to go meet some dealer and pick up a bunch of oxys, probably in the hood, We end up going to a nursing home and meeting these 2 little old ladies. It was one of those nursing homes where, like, people live in their own unit and there's just kind of nurses on call, so maybe more of a retirement home, whatever. And we go in there with these 2 ladies, and they, hi, so-and-so, say his name, come on in, you want a glass of orange juice? And this is the people he's buying his freaking Oxy 80s from. And I'm like, that to me was like the clearest example of the difference of the 2 drugs. You're never going to go buy your heroin from somebody's grandma to re-up in a nursing home. At least 99.99999% of the time you're not. But both these ladies in the nursing home got those pills. They both said they were way too strong. They cost them a lot for insurance, but they needed to take, they took like a quarter of one every 3 days or something, and they got rid of the rest to him, and they made hundreds of dollars. That was a shocker to me, big shocker as far as, the stigma. But, that's exactly kind of fit right into it, unfortunately. And, the final kind of difference or similarity between the 2, whatever you want to call it, is the withdrawal. Withdrawal between them both is pretty similar, almost the exact same, obviously depending on how many of each you do, how long you've been doing it, all those other factors. But the symptoms and everything are going to be very similar. The flu-type symptoms, diarrhea, nausea, hot and cold sweats, chills, trouble sleeping, all that stuff. And if you do one, let's say you have an oxy, real bad oxy addiction, and you've never even done heroin. If you're going in withdrawal and you do heroin, it will get rid of the oxy withdrawal and vice versa, because they are both the same, at its core, the same thing, and they're going to hit the same, parts of the brain, same receptors, and get rid of it. Now, that's not to say that's a good thing to do, because 6-8 hours later, you're going to go right back into withdrawal again, and it always gets worse and worse and worse. But in the end, they are pretty much the exact same thing if you were to break them both down to its core, get out the fillers and the other, cut and everything else. They hit the same chemicals in the brain. They hit the same receptors. They come from the same plant. So that's my little video on the difference and similarities with oxy and heroin. Right, again, Sober Dogs doesn't promote or condone any drug use, but got to get that info out there. All right, K Ruggs, the sober dog, and I'm out. See ya.